We live in a time where every disagreement comes with an accusation. Support the police and you're called a fascist. Question government spending and you're called heartless. Neither charge is true. Both are distractions. Let's start with clarity. We are not a fascist country. Hello, I'm Douglas Gosselin, and I want to talk to you all briefly about some terms being thrown about in our public square. Fascism isn't a feeling or a headline. It is a system where the state demands obedience, silences dissent, and fuses nationalism with total control of speech, commerce, and belief. A fascist regime doesn't allow protest. It jails it. It doesn't hold elections. It performs them. It doesn't separate powers. It collapses them into a single will. Our constitutional republic was designed to resist that collapse. We can criticize, organize, publish, and vote without asking permission. Those are not signs of decay. They are freedom doing its hardest work. And yet, those who cry fascism the loudest are often the ones who benefit most from fear. These statements don't come from clarity or conviction. They come from oppression disguised as concern and desperation masquerading as moral authority. They come from individuals and organizations that either don't understand the words they're using or are deliberately using them to frighten the uninformed. By most accounts, it's the latter. They rely on panic because persuasion requires facts. They repeat dark predictions because they know fear spreads faster than truth. When every policy disagreement becomes a moral emergency, when every debate becomes a doomsday, reason disappears. And those who trade in fear gain power. Calling a republic fascist isn't just wrong, it's irresponsible. It weakens real vigilance by exhausting it. It teaches citizens to see tyranny where there is simply tension, to see enemies where there are only neighbors. That is not the voice of a free people. It's the sound of manipulation dressed as virtue. The real shift in our politics isn't toward fascism, it's toward dependency disguised as compassion. When government promises to freeze rents, own grocery stores, provide universal child care, and make every bus and subway ride free, it sounds humane. But behind that kindness is a trade, your freedom for their management. And to be clear, I am not saying we shouldn't help one another. A healthy nation must care for its elderly, its disabled, and its children. That is not dependency, that is duty. What I am speaking about is indefinite dependence on government, a system that never ends because control was always the goal. Dependence is not liberation. It's a quieter kind of captivity. The old tyrannies use visible chains, iron, whips, bars. The new ones use softer tools, subsidies that never end, programs that never quite work, and benefits you're afraid to lose. You stop asking what you can build because you've learned to wait for what you'll be given. That is not progress. That is a velvet form of servitude. In some ways, it's worse than chains you can see because you cannot march against what you mistake for help. You cannot escape a system you've been taught to call mercy. And the longer you depend on it, the more it convinces you that self-reliance is selfish. A republic cannot survive that surrender. It was never meant to turn citizens into clients. The American promise was not that government would own your burdens. It was that you would own your future. Compassion does not require centralization. We can protect the vulnerable without surrendering choice. We can expand opportunity without turning every service into a government office. A healthy republic trusts its people to build, trade, and contribute within clear, enforced law. Government should guard the boundary of fairness, not ownership. Our Constitution was written to prevent the concentration of power, not to perfect it. So what do? We remember who we are. We stand steady when others shout. We read before we rage. We ask questions before we share outrage. We defend the truth even when it's inconvenient. And we help those who truly need help. The elderly, the disabled, and the children, because compassion is not the same as control. We resist indefinite dependence, whether it comes in the form of a check, a promise, or a fear campaign. We build families, businesses, and communities strong enough that we don't need permission to stand. That's how a republic survives, not by noise, not by panic, but by citizens who think clearly, act boldly, and care deeply, without surrendering their freedom in exchange for someone else's illusion of safety. That's the America worth defending, confident, generous, and free. Thank you for your time. God bless you all, and God bless the United States of America.